I made a game for the Brackeys Game Jam 22.2. Around 6,000 people joined the jam and just over 1,000 individual games were submitted. It's organized by Brackeys, so go check him out even though he quit YouTube a year ago. If you're wondering what a game jam is, it's a competition for game developers where they have to create a game around a theme, but they have a very limited time window, usually around 2 to 7 days. However, this jam had a pretty generous time window of 1 week and the theme for it was "You're Not Alone." I really like this theme, it's simple. After checking out the theme, I quickly realized that the theme is probably too simple for its own good, and after a whole 2 hours of brainstorming, I just went with the idea of a horror game where you are, you guessed it, not alone. But I added some small roguelike elements to it, like randomly generated rooms and random power-ups. It's a really uncreative idea, but I just couldn't come up with anything else. So I fired up Unity and made a Trello board so I could stay organized. I started by installing the Universal Render Pipeline package into Unity so I could access 2D lighting. After toying around with the lights for a while, I drew a flashlight sprite and a battery indicator that would show the player how long the flashlight would last. Threw them into Unity and started coding the flashlight. And voila, there we go, a flashlight. Then I did some more coding and we have the battery indicator that goes down when the flashlight is turned on. I wanted to draw the player character as soon as possible so I could work on the map generation and, well, at least I tried. Lastly, I animated the player's idle and run animations and went to sleep. I started the day off by fixing a bug involving the rotation of the player's hand, and then drew a tile map and some crystals to light up certain areas of the map. After that, I thought about how the map generation would work and went with a set 4x3 layout but random rooms, because it would save me time and it would also ensure that the player never gets cornered in a room, because it always has more than one exit. I made the rooms and created the hallways between them. Next, I added collision to everything and started coding the random generation. And there we go, works first try. I took a break for the rest of the day and then went to bed. I wanted to start working on the random power-ups now, so I drew a chest with a cage and started animating it in Unity. After I finished coding the chest, I made a list of all the power-ups I wanted to add to the game, and then began drawing them. I created a battery that would recharge the player's flashlight, sneakers that would make the player less visible to the monster, a bright flash that would light up the whole map, and many more. Then, I coded them so that they would drop randomly when the player opened a chest and made some cards that would appear at the top right to tell the player what the power-up does. I also added a jump scare that would sometimes play when the player opened a chest. I will play it now in 3, 2, 1. Not even scary because we haven't added any audio, and its only purpose is to scare the player when they aren't expecting it. Before going to bed, I drew another monster that would guard locked chests and the player would have to defeat them in order to unlock the chest. After making some quick animations for it, I created the jump scare, which I will play yet again in 3, 2, 1. Again, still not scary because we haven't added any audio, but that will come later. I started coding the behavior of the ghost enemy, and here's the result of him jump scaring the player. Next, I made the final enemy, and this one is the main antagonist, Stalk. After breaking him up into pieces, I animated his walk and run animations in Unity and then tried to code his movement, but realized that I don't know anything about making a pathfinding AI. So after making his jump scare animation that I will play in 3, 2, 1, I forgot about that for a while and went to sleep. While I was thinking about how I would code the AI movement, I started putting the main menu together. After I coded everything, I made a disclaimer that would appear at the start of the game to warn people that have photosensitive epilepsy and that the game contains jump scares and loud sounds. Later, I finally found out how I could implement Stalk wandering around when he isn't chasing the player. I could just give him random rooms to pathfind to until he found the player. After following a tutorial by Brackeys himself, I used the A-star pathfinding system to quickly make Stalk follow the player. But we don't really want him to follow the player all the time, so I did some more coding and there we go. He wanders around the hallways until he finds the player. Now, a big problem with the jump scares is that none of them actually kill the player. So I made this death screen, which I am really proud of by the way. I animated it and now jump scares actually kill the player and after a short while send them back to the menu. I kicked off day 6 by addressing the fact that we still don't have any end goal. So I drew a door and placed it on the other side of the cave, and now the player needs to find the key from chests and not get spotted by any monster. I spent the rest of the day making sound effects. It's the first time I've ever made sound effects from scratch and didn't just use a generator. So here are the results of my attempt at making sound effects. Now, fortunately, the Trello board I set up at the start is actually quite empty on the final day. I only need to make the soundtrack and polish some things. First, I made a pillar and after doing some coding, they now spawn randomly inside regular rooms that were empty before. Next, I originally didn't want to add a tutorial, but then realized that most players won't understand what they are supposed to do when they first start playing. I felt like the game looked a bit bland and uninteresting, so I spiced up the graphics with some post-processing. But I did add an option to turn it off, because even on my computer it went from 90 frames per second without post-processing to 60 frames per second when I added it. Here's the game side by side with and without post-processing. Next, I drew a bar with a circle/handle thing, and now we have a slider for music volume adjustment. Although we don't have any music yet, so let's fix that. I created this spooky-ish music in Fruity Loops that would play in the background. Later, I also made some more music that is more intense that would play when a monster is chasing you. After fixing some bugs, I created this headphones icon and put it in the main menu just as a reminder to use headphones. I had basically everything done at this point, so I could just add stuff now. So I drew 2 more power-ups, a repellent that would decrease the chance of the surprise enemy showing up, and an arrow that would point to Stalk for a short while. Added them into Unity, and here they are in action. Never mind. Alright, fixed it up, and here they are in action. The only thing left at this point was the name, and after a long while of brainstorming, I came up with Cursed Caverns. Yeah, did I also mention how there was a stupid bug that I couldn't fix for 2 hours and now it's 5 AM and we're still not done with the game? Anyways, I made a lazy icon for the game and another one for itch.io since they have different resolutions. I set up the page and submitted it to the jam with around 5 hours remaining. You might be asking, why did you submit with so much time left? Well, the jam ended at noon for me, and I didn't want to risk oversleeping and missing the deadline, essentially making a week's worth of work for nothing. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. Even though I basically pulled an all-nighter for the jam, I still had a blast participating in the jam. Go check out Brackeys, I will link his channel in the description, and go download the game for free on itch.io if you're on Windows, or just play it in the browser. So yeah, like the video if you liked it, dislike if you didn't, subscribe, and I will see you next time.